Let's learn how to read tarot. My name's Kaylee. If you've seen me before, it's probably for my work that I've done with Titanic, but I have other hobbies too. And right now, I've gotten into trying to learn how to read tarot cards. So I thought I would bring you along this journey with me as we learn together because I don't have too much of an idea what I'm doing. I've been doing a little bit of tarot reading and like trying to learn, watching a lot of videos, and I've done some practice. Tarot readings for myself, but and a couple for other people that I have. But I've been trying, but I thought I would take you along with me and we can kind of learn this together. So obviously I'm not a professional. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to show you what I do. So yeah, let's do some tarot. I'm just going to do a basic Celtic cross spread tonight. Which I say basic, and I know that that's like a lot of cards. So we'll see how far we get, but that's the goal. So here's my little setup here. It's nothing too special. I just have 7 crystals because I like the number 7, so that's the reason for that. My favorite piece here is probably this quartz that I have, and my favorite thing about it is that I got it for $10 at a gem show. So yeah, I have my candles set up here mostly for light. I got my incense. I like to burn dragon's blood when I do tarot. So grab your cup of tea and let's get started. So I think the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to shuffle and pick some cards, and I'm going to show you the card. I'm going to take a look at it and then give you some of my first impressions. And then after I take a look at that, I'm going to look in my books. Probably have some others too. I'm going to look at my books and see what I can learn about the cards, and then I'll kind of come back, explain that, and then we'll lay them out. And yeah, we'll just go from there. We'll see how far we get. So to start, I went through the deck and picked a significator card, and that is just a card that's going to give our overall general feeling for the reading, and the guide is kind of how I look at it. And I chose the Fool card, and I chose this one. Personally, this is my favorite card in the deck. But I thought it was very appropriate for this being the first video, the first time I'm doing something like this, the first long form content that I'm making. And also I'm trying something new. I've never shared a lot outside of the Titanic stuff that I do. So this is something new for me. I feel like we can walk off this cliff together. And yeah, so this is going to be our guide for this evening. And what I'm going to do next is I already shuffled and cut the deck for the cards. So I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling these. And I don't have a very specific way that I do it. I like to just play with the cards until something jumps out. I like it to be obvious. I don't like if a whole bunch of cards fall out, then that's just me not knowing how to shuffle cards. So I like to have a card that like obviously kind of jumps out at us, and I just like having fun with this. I'm really into storytelling, and I feel like tarot is a very story-driven hobby, and it's basically like taking different scenes and different parts in like the hero's journey and piecing it together and applying it to your own life. And I think that's really interesting and fascinating and fun, and I feel like it can give you some interesting insight into what's going on in your life, maybe some things that you haven't thought of, or some things going on in the subconscious. Or it's just fun and it's a good exercise for the brain. So I don't have a specific way that I like to do this. I play with these cards until a specific one, special one jumps out at me. I like it to be obvious because I'm a skeptic like that. So, oh, just like that. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Okay. I just pulled the 5 of Cups. And what you didn't see is the entire 2.5 clip I just did, where I did what I just did, and I pulled this card for the first card in the Celtic Cross. And I decided I wanted to do this a different way. So I'm like, okay, we'll just start over. And I pulled it again. So this is the example of what I'm talking about. Something that seems obvious and is like, okay, yes, that's cool. So this is going to be our card, which is a little bit unfortunate because it doesn't have a very happy overtone, and the very first card of the Celtic Cross spread represents the general feelings and energy surrounding the situation or the question at hand. So not a great start, but but there's always a little bit of light and darkness, which I think we will find very, very soon. But wow, it's interesting when stuff like that happens, isn't it? The first thing that I notice about this card is that we have 3 cups over here that are overturned and like looks like their contents are spilling out. And we have 2 cups over here with their contents that are full. And then we have this guy here who's cloaked in black. He's got his back turned to the reader, which could be looking into the past maybe. But either way, it looks like his attention is focused on these 3 cups here that have fallen over versus the 2 cups that are still standing. So maybe he's suffered a loss, but can't see what he still has. So that's kind of my first interpretation of the card. I didn't go into this with a specific question in mind. I went in just asking to tell me anything that I need to know or to bring to the surface anything that I need to be aware of. So we're kind of just, much like the Fool, we are walking into this very blindly, a little naively. We are walking off that cliff together. Yeah, so not a great card to represent the overall feeling of a situation, but that's okay. According to my book right here, The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean, the 5 of Cups is about loss and upset. Generally, it is a feeling of sadness. Not a great first card. Let's see what unfolds, because maybe we're going for a ride. So if the first card represents the general circumstances surrounding the querent, aka the questioner's life, the second card crosses the first card, and that describes the energy that is either helping or hindering your situation, depending on, the interpretations of the card. So let's see what is helping or hindering this first card, the 5 of Cups. Loss, sadness, and not great things. Let's see what is helping or hindering that circumstance in the situation. Does anyone know what it means if you're like, I don't know, if like you do it this way and it takes forever for something to jump out? Is there like significant meaning behind that? I have no idea. I would love any tips and tricks and interpretations that you have in the comments. Please feel free. I'm open to learning. Whoop. That was the one. So we've got the 7 of Wands. So it looks like that guy's pretty defensive. He's got something crossing his heart, which I think is significant. It looks like he's defending himself against these other wands. What I'm learning after reading is that there are challenges to overcome, but you can rise to the challenge. So that's why, like what it was saying was he's so much larger than the people around him. And so he is standing tall and he is defending his beliefs or overcoming obstacles, but there is hope in the end. The card is particularly relevant to work and career matters and highlights all negotiations, regardless of how difficult the conversation becomes. There's a need to keep talking and stay in conversation until you are satisfied with the outcome. You will need to stand tall, and by being very clear on your position, you can win. It's kind of giving us almost like a decision, it seems like, where if you can rise to the challenge, if you can fight for what you believe in, and if you can overcome obstacles in your path, then you can indeed get to the goal in mind. So that's cool. We're getting a little bit better, a little more positive. The third card in the Celtic Cross is the card that crowns you. It's placed over top of the first and the second card. And what it can represent is possibly the desired outcome that the querent is looking for. It doesn't necessarily mean the outcome that is going to happen, but it can kind of reveal a lot about the feelings and desires that are at play. Let's pull for our crown card. Oh, that was quick. Again, I want to know, does that mean something? We have the Five of Pentacles. Interesting. Well, I know pentacles are the suite of earth, and they tend to have a lot to do with career matters, laying foundations and long-term goals and success and like hard work. The first thing that I notice is that this card doesn't have a very happy feel to me. We obviously have people who are left outside of what looks like a church, maybe? That looks left outside of the church in the snow. They look like people who could really use some kindness and some help here. It can indicate financial loss or loss of a position or loss in general, which is interesting that it fell into the place of wants and desires. So like I'm a little bit confused, but maybe the future cards will help us understand that one a little bit better. Maybe it has to do with like a desire to help people, because I've always felt like in my professional life and like a lot of the decisions I've made in my career have been very like humanitarian focused in a lot of ways. So maybe it has something to do with here's a thought that just occurred to me with the wand card that we just pulled, and like having to fight for what's right and having to kind of go into opposition with something. Maybe this card could have something to do with what to do if the battle is lost or there isn't the outcome isn't desirable. And maybe it could be something like kind of reminding me about the humanities direction I was going or something. I don't know. That's just kind of the first thing that kind of pops into mind for me. Let's go ahead and continue on to the fourth card. So the fourth card is placed beneath the other ones, and it represents more of the subconscious forces that might be at work, or like hidden fears and apprehensions possibly. So fun. I think it'd be kind of funny if we pull like a really positive card for this, just like how the one above it was kind of negative, but we'll see what happens. Still thinking about the Cups card I pulled. The very first one. It's crazy when that happens. Oh, this one fell out. We have the Page of Wands, another Wands card. Interesting. Page of Wands. I remember pages being like the messenger. What I've gathered is this could very much indicate a person in your life, somebody who you can see his wand is taller than he is, which could indicate that his ambitions or ideas are bigger than his experience. It could be good news about projects or situations that require negotiation. It's interesting that negotiation came up again, because that was something that also came up with our other wands card. So that's kind of interesting, right? So this one had mentioned that you could have to stand up and negotiate for what you wanted or what you believed in. And this one is mentioned someone in your life who could be charismatic, good at negotiating, or somebody who's ambitious, has big dreams. It's interesting that it fell in like the hidden fears and apprehensions place. So like if it does represent a person, it could be someone in my life, or it could be represent like me, myself. I feel like I'm a very idealistic kind of person, and I like to be creative and I have big ideas, but sometimes I struggle with following through on things. So that could be something that this represents. If it represents like myself in the situation, is maybe like biting off more than I can chew, or not following through with like the goals that I set out for myself. That seems to be going in the right direction. So I'm going to go with that one. Maybe we will get more hints as we go on. It's interesting that the wands, the two wand cards so far have been connected, both like their negotiation. That's interesting. Just for reference, this is what our spread is looking like so far. So the next two cards are kind of in line with what we've already talked about. So the one over here on the left is going to be what is directly behind you. So it could be events or situations that were in the immediate past that led up to the current situation. And then the card after that is going to be what is in front of you, which immediate future and any coming influences that will affect the issue. All right, bet. All right, the sun. We got another positive card. Sweet. We love that. And it's our first major arcana card, so that could signify like a more major event. But it looks like it could possibly be a happy one. It looks like the flowers are in bloom. There's a naked baby. Everything just seems pretty happy, like rebirth. That's going to be kind of my guess for this card, is going to be an overall theme of rebirth or like growth, which I think would make sense. I think this card makes sense. So we were right about the sun card representing growth. And it also has a lot to do with overcoming previous challenges and kind of enjoying success while you have it, and basically reaping the good of what you've sown is kind of my interpretation of it. I think it's interesting that this is in the position of things in the immediate past. That feels pretty accurate. It feels like things have been, there's been a lot of growth and a lot of changes that have been positive in my life, even though there have been challenges that have been overcome, I think. So that, I think this card checks out, and I don't really have any questions. That one makes sense to me. I love it when that happens. Next one is what is before you. So it's going to be things that might influence the upcoming situation, possibly things that could happen. So I was right about getting tired. Oh man, yes. I'll save that thought. We have the Queen of Cups. We have another Cups card. How interesting. And we know that cups are the suite of emotion, and queens tend to represent divine femininity, whatever that means, and leadership. And because it's a cups card, that would lead me to believe that it would be somebody who maybe mastered their emotions, so somebody who learned how to process emotions, or it'd be somebody who knows the value of feeling emotions and when it's appropriate. And I guess that would kind of be my thought, would be somebody who's very collected and somebody who you can look up to. Like wisdom is kind of the vibe I'm getting here. I think the word we were looking for was emotional security. And maybe the fact that this card is in the future position means that maybe someday I'll learn what emotional security is, because that wasn't clicking. But yeah, we got a lot of the interpretations, I think, somewhat correct. I think we are on the right track. So I think what this is telling me is that in the future, there is a wisdom in emotions and happiness and security and like comfort is what I'm getting. And I think this is overall turning out pretty positive. The vibe I'm kind of getting from this reading so far is that while there is a sense of sadness that's surrounding a lot of situations, if the right decisions are made and fears are overcame, and maybe being more generous, and like that's where I'm getting this card. This, for some reason, this card just feels like generosity to me, just because it's in the like hopes and aspirations. And so for me, it feels very generous to me. And maybe that's not like the actual meaning of the card, but that's just the vibe I'm getting. So that's what I'm going to go with. So I think, yeah, learning to be generous and understanding and kind will help continue this cycle of growth and success into the future, where the things to work on would be emotional security. Count how many times I've said that in this video. And that, to me, would say is the next step, maybe? Like the next step in the journey is kind of the vibe I'm getting here. let's finish it up. We only have, I think, three or four cards. 4 cards. Only 4 cards left. And like I was saying before that card jumped out, I'm getting tired. It's late. I knew this was going to take a while, but I didn't anticipate just how long this would take, and I have to work in the morning. So let's finish this out. And here is what the spread is looking like so far, for just to get a good visual idea. So the last 4 cards represent the querent, again, the question asker, and the direction that they're likely to take and how they're likely to behave. So it's more, I think, about like personality. So the first card in this segment is in the bottom right-hand corner, and it represents like how the querent is likely to behave and real feelings about a situation. And then the card above that is the home, and that represents kind of like the support that someone's likely to get, or the people in their immediate environment. Ninth card is your wishes and fears card, and it says a lot about the querent's feelings, and it may reflect a logical assessment of what is taking place, but it definitely has a lot to do with the person's emotional attachments to the circumstances. The last card is the outcome card. So maybe if we started with that card, this would have been done a long time ago. But I get delusional when I get tired. Anyways, let's break into the next card, which is again going to be the card that represents like how the querent, aka me, is likely to behave in a situation, in the situation being discussed at hand. I'm just going to pull out the last 4 in quick succession so we can wrap this up a little quicker. Got one. Hey, it's a pentacle card. Sweet. That's usually pretty good. So that one was the Knight of Pentacles. And just, we're going to pull the last 3 so we can just real quickly look at them all together. Because they all seem pretty similar to me, honestly, but maybe that's just my novice brain. Oh, sweet, we got another Wands card. It looks like we have the 2 of Wands, which, if I remember correctly, has something to do with, like, travel and, like, expanding horizons, which would make sense in the home category. I feel like I like to jump around and travel a lot. I feel like I've had a lot of really cool opportunities, and I hope for many more, so that makes sense. And another Pentacles card! Yay! I like it when things tell me that I might make money. That's the 3, 4, 5, 6. The 8 of Pentacles. So it looks like this person is hard at work crafting and perfecting their chosen skill and laying a good foundation for the future, is what that one looks like to me. All right, this last card, I feel like it needs a drum roll. This is the outcome of the situation that we did not clearly define, because we're just kind of taking things as the Fool would take it and just test things out. But nonetheless, let's see how all of this wraps up into a finale. I think I mentioned this already, but that's one of the things that I really like about tarot, is that it's kind of just like crafting a story and like taking a bunch of different scenes from the hero's journey and piecing it together in different ways, and then trying to attribute it to goings on in your own life. And like, it's just kind of fun storytelling. And I really enjoy storytelling. I really enjoy history. I really enjoy just, this is fun. And I don't think you have to be a spiritual person to enjoy stuff like this. I think it really, it's fun. It's fun to learn new things. It's fun to try new things. And we have the Hermit. I think that's a pretty good card. If I remember correctly, that's like the card that's associated with Virgo, and has to do with like looking inward and looking inside and kind of understanding oneself. It's a major arcana card, which is cool that came out for the outcome. So that seems like a pretty big card for a big position in the spread. But yeah, I would. And he's holding a lantern too, it looks like. So it maybe has something to do with like lighting the way or looking inward to find something. That's my thought. Let me do some reading and I will wrap this up. So here's what I'm getting for the Knight of Pentacles. He's somebody who's wise, somebody who does not see get rich quick schemes and fall for them. He's somebody who knows that success takes hard work and it can take time. It's not something that happens overnight and something immediately. So I thought this was interesting that this fell into the place of how I'm likely to behave, because I feel like I don't know if patient is the word I would use to describe myself, but I do appreciate the value of hard work, I think. So the Two of Wands was a little less about adventure and travel and a little bit more about overcoming obstacles and like new situations or complications in relationships that enter the picture that could create the need to pause and reflect. It could represent possible anxiety that's looming or fear of losing control. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments because I'm a little bit stumped on this one. So let's move on to the other pentacle card. I like the pentacles. I think they're fun. So we were pretty right about the Eight of Pentacles. It's somebody who money is on the way, success is on the way, after you put in the hard work. It's somebody who is refining their craft and laying the foundation. This is the wishes and fears, and the card says a lot about the querent's feelings. It may reflect a logical assessment of what is taking place, but definitely has a lot to do with the person's emotional attachments to the circumstances. The Hermit card, I like the Hermit card. I think we were kind of on the right track with this one. We did miss a little bit of the meaning of this card, which some of it pointed to finding a new path and being innovative. And we were going in the right direction with thinking about looking inward and finding our own peace of mind. You pave your own path and you find your own creative outcome, and you have sometimes have to be a little secluded to do that. But I think the overarching theme of this reading is that while there's been a lot of progress and substantial growth made, there's still a lot of growing to do, and we're just in the middle of our journey. There's success on the way, but only if we put in the hard work and overcome the obstacles in the way. And a lot of those answers, it looks like, can be found by looking inwards instead of towards external sources. But let me know what you think. It is way later than I thought it would be, so I am going to pack up and go to bed. Good night, and if you made it this far, wow, thank you.